Revising and editing. Directions. Read the personal narrative and answer the questions that follow. Mr. Brennan, my math teacher, says that we have to show our work on our tests. I learned the hard way to follow his instructions to the letter. It all happened last week in an experience I probably will not forget. I'd stopped in the hall to talk to a friend before a math test. The bell rang. I still needed to go to my locker, get my math book, and get to class for the test. I had no idea that my friend and I had been talking for so long. I made it to class. I was 15 minutes late. The test had already begun. I wanted to do the whole test. I had studied for the past 2 nights and wanted to show what I had learned. I did some of the problems in my head, put down the last answer, and stopped writing when the bell rang. Out in the hall, Jane asked, "How did you do?" "I think all my answers were right," I said. "I put down my last answer as the bell rang. How did you do?" "It took a lot of time to write down all my work. However, I think I did okay," said Jane. "I didn't have time to put down my work," I said. "He probably won't care." The next day, when I went to class, Mr. Brennan was waiting for me. He put his hands on his hips. He looked unhappy. I could tell he wanted to talk to me about something. "It's too bad," he said. "You had all the right answers on the test, but you didn't get any points at all." "Whatever do you mean, sir?" I asked. "You did not follow directions. How do I know whether you did the problems yourself?" he asked. "How can I be sure without your work?" I looked sadly at my failing grade. I knew that this was one lesson I would never forget. Following instructions was more important than I had known. Revising and editing. Directions. Read the personal narrative and answer the questions that follow. Number 1. Choose the precise verb that best replaces the word says in sentence number 1. A thinks, B wants, C believes, D requires. Number 2. Choose the best way to add details to sentence 5 by using modifiers. A. Unexpectedly, the bell rang. B. The school bell rang abruptly. C. Quite quickly, the bell rang. Or D. The bell rang in the classroom. Number 3. Which prepositional phrase would add a necessary detail to the end of sentence 6? A. Beside the math room. B. Next to my locker. C. On another floor. Or D. Near the class door. Number 4. Choose the best way to revise sentence 11 and 12 to show sentence variety. A. I rushed to finish the whole test because I had studied for the past 2 nights and wanted to show what I had learned. B. I rushed to finish the whole test I had studied for the past 2 nights. I wanted to show what I had learned. C. Wanting to show that I had studied hard the past 2 nights, I rushed to finish my whole test. D. I rushed to finish the whole test to show what I had learned. I had studied hard the past 2 nights. 5. Revise sentence 14 to correct the punctuation of dialogue. A. Out in the hall, Jane asked, "How did you do?" B. Out in the hall, Jane asked, "How did you do?" C. Out in the hall, Jane asked, "How did you do?" D. Out in the hall, Jane asked, "How did you do?" Number 6. Revise sentence 15 to correct the punctuation of dialogue. A. I think all of my answers were right, I said. B. I think all of my answers were right, I said. C. I think all my answers were right, I said. Or D. I think all of my answers were right, I said. Revising and editing directions. Read the personal narrative and answer the questions that follow. Number 7. Which prepositional phrase would add a necessary detail to the end of sentence 22? A. Next to the drinking fountain. B. At the door. C. Besides my locker. Or D. In my desk. Number 8. Choose the best way to combine sentences 23, 24, and 25 to create sentence variety. A. He put his hands on his hips. He looked unhappy, and I could tell that he wanted to talk to me about something. B. He put his hands on his hips, looking unhappy. I could tell that he wanted to talk to me about something. C. He put his hands on his hips, and he looked unhappy. I could tell that he wanted to talk to me about something. And D. Because he had his hands on his hips, I could tell that he was unhappy and wanted to talk to me about something. Number 9. Choose the best way to add details to sentence 25 by using modifiers. A. I really could tell that he wanted to talk to me about something. B. I could tell that he was anxious to talk to me about something important. C. Quickly, I could tell that Mr. Brennan wanted to talk to me about something. And D. I could tell that he wanted to talk to me about something really important. Number 10. Look at sentence 27. Which dialogue would be most realistic for Mr. Brennan? A. Your answers were like correct, but you totally did not gain any points. B. You got all the right answers, but you're wrong if you think you'll get any points. C. If all of your test answers were correct, but you did not receive any points. And D. Yeah, you scored with all the right answers, but you didn't get the points.